Do you guys remember Tiny Troopers? If you don't, it was one of the greatest mobile games of the 2010s, up there with Angry Birds and Plants vs Zombies in my opinion. Tiny Troopers is about, well, Tiny Troopers. You make them fight each other and it's the funnest but most stressful game since chess was invented. There's 3 games in the main Tiny Troopers series and 1 console game that I've never played. The first came out in 2012 and was met with great reception. The last was released in 2014. EA saw the first game's success and wound up co-publishing the second and third game, fun fact. So you might be wondering why a game published by EA that was hella successful is so forgotten. Well, Tiny Troopers doesn't exactly exist anymore. Because of its quick releases, the game's longevity struggled after Alliance's release, a game that differed vastly from the original gameplay of the first 2, and wound up shutting down in 2017. Not to mention that Alliance was a complete Clash of Clans ripoff, but I enjoyed it. Due to Alliance's demise, the other 2 games were completely axed from stores, never to return. Now, if you previously owned Tiny Troopers 2, you could still play it, at least on iOS, but Tiny Troopers 1 remains completely unplayable and requires pirated APKs in order to run again. As for Alliance, the game was obviously never updated for future devices and the servers are offline, rendering it completely lost media. I think I'm using that term correctly. So why were the 2 other games pulled from stores? I have the same question. Oh wait, this is my video, Mom. I'm so sorry. So the other day, I asked y'all to give me several other mobile games that were removed or delisted from the stores and... Yo, can I open my own comment section please? Y'all gave me several games that have been delisted for various reasons. Except one guy who said Fruit Ninja. He has been taken care of. One of the main games that a lot of you mentioned was of course Angry Birds. Angry Birds' development cycle was very reminiscent of Tiny Troopers, in which several games were released in a short span of time. Angry Birds Friends, Space, Star Wars, and even Bad Piggies were all released in 2012. The original was made in 2009, developed by Rovio and published by Chilingo. Hey, they sound familiar. Of all the 20-ish games made, only about 6 remain available to download. For some bizarre reason, around the time the second Angry Birds movie released, Rovio went all out to try and forget the original Angry Birds style, in favour of the movie's designs. The original, Rio, Seasons, both Star Wars games, Go, Space, Fight, Stellar, and Epic are all delisted now. Yet, Angry Birds Pop is just completely untouched. And I suppose Bad Piggies survived too, I guess.
Another day, another victory for the OG.
The oldest surviving Angry Birds game is officially Angry Birds 2 from 2015. So, why was it untouched? Especially with no Angry Birds 1 to accompany it. It predates the movie, yet wasn't part of the mass axing. It couldn't have been server or maintenance issues because most of the delisted games remain playable. Not to mention most of them don't even require internet connection. The only one to my knowledge that is completely unplayable is Angry Birds Fight, and Angry Birds Seasons was completely bricked on a lot of phones for a while. I have no clue when that got fixed. The main reason for Angry Birds 2 remaining is since the game is technically infinite. I like to call this elusive infinity, when the mobile game appears to never have an end, but in reality it's just repeating levels. I really hope I spelled elusive right. I used to play this one game called Super Goal. It had about 80-ish levels and they always looped, but it was good enough to the point where I didn't mind the repetition.
Cristiano Ronaldo, Suey.
I'm low-key the LeBron of... I'm low-key the LeBron of this game, and may or may not have spent £3 to remove ads on this, cause it's that fun. Anywho's, Elusive Infinity means new levels rarely have to be developed to Rovio, and they can mass recycle basic levels instead. In the original Angry Birds, each level had a unique design, yet in Angry Birds 2, it's repetitive for the sake of longevity. You'll only notice or be annoyed by the repetition if you play the game every 3 hours, every 3 days, for about roughly 6 months. Sorry guys. That makes a lot of sense from a corporate standpoint, yet it doesn't justify the delisting of the previous games. Angry Birds Pop also operates in a similar way with this Elusive Infinity, I think. That may be LARP, as I've never played Angry Birds Pop and don't plan on starting, but seeing as Evolution also operates similarly, I assume Pop is the same. Moving moving on from Angry Birds, I'd like to quickly rewind back to Super Golf for a second. Everybody knows this genre of mobile game. Short, addictive, and you get an ad after every level. But do any of you actually remember half the mobile games you've ever played or downloaded? Apart from the king, Flying Gorilla.
Hey guys, it's me, Flying Gorilla.
The App Store has this neat feature where you can see all your past purchases, including all accounts for the rest of your family if it's linked. This means I can see all the past games I had downloaded on my ancient ass iPad. Taking a scroll through these, I rediscovered so many games I used to play that also don't exist anymore. Simpsons Tapped Out, which was discontinued a few years ago, Chimpact, which still exists on Steam but almost nobody has played it on there. Many old LEGO games have been discontinued, some downloadable, others completely gone. Both of the oldest Ninjago games are completely lost media unless you're willing to torrent. And here's a bunch of miscellaneous games that are also delisted or removed. Of the games you can still download despite being delisted, many simply freeze on the loading screen or simply don't have any working features left, especially if they are multiplayer. Another small term I'm going to start using, similar to Elusive Infinity, is false multiplayer. Not exactly a unique term, but it's mobile games that pretend that they have multiplayer, when in reality you're only ever playing bots. The most famous example of this being that game Snowball.io, which makes you think you're up against other players, but in reality they all move the exact same way and the game runs the exact same offline. Now, there are two games specifically that, despite having previously been on all mobile stores, have been completely nuked off the platforms. The first being a rather strange one, but Minecraft Story Mode is completely gone. Usually if a game like the original Tiny Troopers or Chimpact is removed from stores, you'll see a blacked out download button next to it. Not Story Mode. I know for sure I had this downloaded on my old iPad, so I definitely possessed some sort of copy of it at some point. Yet when I went searching for it, it simply was not there. Now, I know you might think that maybe I'd scrolled past it or forgotten the account it was downloaded on, but Minecraft Story Mode hasn't existed on stores for years, and Telltale went bust in 2018. This essentially means nobody could have updated the game in forever, and it was simply unsalvageable, meaning it couldn't remain on stores, even delisted. Now, Minecraft Story Mode still exists if you're willing to go on the 7 seas. I may or may not possess a copy of it, I cannot disclose that. But the mobile port is completely lost to the best of my knowledge. The second game is a false multiplayer slop game that I absolutely adored back in the late 2010s. It was pure slop. You got an ad after every level, the bots were utterly brain dead unless you're involved, it crashed every 5 or so levels, it was also Elusive Infinity and had about 15 different maps at most. But my god, was it dumb fun. The game is called Human Runner 3D. It's a bit of a mix between Total Wipeout, Ninja Warrior and Fall Guys. You run through a course dodging red shit left and right, sometimes it comes out the floor, other players will be trying to push you off at all times, and you can do the same back. It's a very basic game, but hold on, Bro, what the fuck was that? Let's rewind the gameplay a second. The only high quality footage of this that exists on the internet and is falling off without a single obstacle in sight. Bloody hell, it is not that difficult. I used to run this shit when I was 12. So I'm not exactly sure for this one, but Human Runner appears to one day have just been completely eradicated from stores. It remained playable for a decent amount of time, but there was this very bizarre bug in which the UI would completely stop working, leaving only you in a solo race where the obstacles are frozen. Restarting the game was ineffective too, you had to straight up wait like 10 minutes for it to start working again, then you'd probably get the same bug about 2 races in. I wish I had footage of this, so I could add shitty filters to certain parts, add an analog horror jumpscare near the end, upload it to YouTube on a burner account with no title, get my friend to spam comment ARG, shocked face emoji, and make bank. Maybe another timeline. But anywho's, Human Runner 3D is completely gone from storefronts. No backups of it exist online, and the only footage of the game that exists is what you're currently watching. Bloody hell, did you just fall off again? I don't have the slightest clue what caused this complete axing, but this is one of the only games in this video that there is absolutely zero method of recovering without developer intervention, rendering it completely lost media as of this video being published. So now that I've shown all these lost, forgotten and some unplayable mobile games, what exactly causes all these games to be removed from stores in comparison to console and PC games? Other than old multiplayer games and anything EA gets their hands on, you don't often see this happening on console and PC. Obviously, it's a lot easier to develop and publish a mobile game over consoles, even if it's just for the short term. And that's what I think is killing them. Think back to how high quality games from the 2010s were. You had Plants vs Zombies, My Singing Monsters, Limbo, Temple Run, Among Us, Clash of Clans, Please Don't Touch Anything, Cut the Rope, Five Nights at Freddy's. We could be here all day. Tell me, in the past 5 years or so, what mobile games have exactly come up and been as famous as these? I mean, I suppose Block Blast in a way, and I guess you got Rise of Kingdoms too. But I've played Rise of Kingdoms before. It was pretty mid. Not gonna lie, the marketing is the only good part of the game.
Anakin. What? I have 50 million power in Rise of...
With how forgettable games are becoming, the longevity just doesn't satisfy users anymore, which leads to them being forgotten and ultimately shut down. That being said, games like Tiny Troopers also suffered from longevity problems with how few levels they had. So it can't be them being forgettable that's killing the games.
Needs more research.
Bloody hell, this is going to be a long video. So if you made it this far, oh god, I'm doing it. I'm saying the line. Only a small percentage of viewers are actually... Wait a minute, 8% is pretty good though. Usually it's like 2%. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but with the 102% up there. It's the one Boondocks clip.
2% African with a 2% margin of error.
Anywho's, I decided to pick 2 games I used to play, one delisted and one still decently succeeding. The delisted game is Angry Birds Go. This was the racist Angry Birds game from 2013 that got officially delisted by Rovio during the mass axing I mentioned before. Go used to be so peak and for a while was my favourite Angry Birds game, until they decided to completely ruin the UI and progression of the game. The old progression system gave you a mechanic pig who upgraded your cars, let you get all the upgrades for dirt cheap, and you earned everything you need to upgrade the car from just races. This board here also looks sick. So, how did Rovio ruin the progression? I mean, just take a look at this. Also, you don't upgrade your car with money anymore, you need to earn specific parts from, drumroll please, loot boxes! You can really tell this game was made in the 2010s. You gotta earn tickets from races to open loot boxes, you only get the tickets if you get 2 or more stars in the race, and you can only ever unlock them once. The loot box, correction, the tool boxes give you great parts of best which don't give you all the necessary things to upgrade your car. Good thing you also get gems to purchase the legendary toolbox, which gives you gold parts and sometimes purple parts, but you can get unnecessary purple parts for cars you don't even have. So how do you earn gems? Why, from more toolboxes of course! This is the vicious cycle of Angry Birds Go. Race, toolbox, get 0 good upgrades for your car, energy runs out from spamming trying to beat the boss levels, wait 24 hours. Daily races. Here's a way to upgrade cars when our bullshit progression has inevitably prevented any further developments, but you only get 4 tickets and some blueprints. Let me tell you about blueprints. You need a shit ton to unlock every bloody car, and it gets to the point where the levels are unbalanced. So I have the best rocky road car imaginable, but the worst snow car. But hey, Rovio, I just beat the snow car level with a significantly worse car. Surely I should get some stars for that, right? I have never seen a worse update than Angry Birds Go 2.0. Like seriously, this might be the absolute worst revamp ever. Don't get me started on all the features that got removed too. Now sure, the original progression wasn't perfect, but I take it 9 times out of 10 to whatever they did with the new version. That was all done in one take, by the way. That is how much I hated the new update. So the other game is called Crazy Kick. You're a ball. You have to avoid these mean red people.
Super.
If you fail a level, you get an ad. If you beat the level, you also get an ad. It's £8 to remove the ads. Why did I add this to the video again? Oh right, the offlining fix. So when you turn airplane mode on, you can essentially offline several solo mobile games, meaning that you don't get ads for any of them. The geniuses at Voodoo realized they can just limit how many offline players you have per day, or make every game require internet connection and paywall offline modes. In other words, once this game shuts down, you're going to need to pay for an offline mode that shouldn't exist and worse than the Lost Media mobile crisis. The point I'm trying to link between these two is changes that hurt progression for the game, essentially ruining what you already had. Crazy Kick was a silly game you could offline and have a shit ton of fun with. Now, it's just a shitty cash grab in which you barely play the game. The same goes for Angry Birds Go, in which they enshittificated the game for no apparent reason, other than to soft launch microtransactions. That reminds me, because the game doesn't get updated at all, there's a constant sale for 7 tickets and 5,000 coins, and it's always 90% off. Yeah, I might have bought a couple of those, I'll be honest with you. Them changes essentially just ruined the game and scared off players, to be honest. It leaves the game as more vulnerable to hitting the cutting room floor in the long term. Not to mention that Angry Birds Go makes my phone low-key melt in my hand because there's so much going on. Like my shit is literally on fire every time I'm in a race, like it's on a fast charger. Hang on. What if the decline in quality and an abandoning of several games is simply due to the fact that newer iOS models weren't built to run games of that scale? The newer version of Angry Birds Go is ridiculously downgraded. Enemy races can't use their abilities anymore, most of the power-ups are gone, there is little to none animation on the main level select for the game, Maybe the downgrades had to do with the move away from tablets to just phones, meaning so many games couldn't adapt to running on newer phones that weren't built to run high quality games. If you don't believe me, open Among Us and run about a bit in a 15-player lobby. See how long it takes before your phone turns into liquid hot magma. This is what the main cause of the crisis is, in my opinion. Smaller developers don't want to go back to their spaghetti code to port onto PC or APKs, so they just don't. As for Rovio, I just think they're lazy as fuck, let's be real. That being said, I don't really know much about developing mobile games, so I have no clue about maintenance or whether software updates require constant changes, etc. That's all I really have to say. That last part was just something that popped in my head while editing, so I don't really have much proof outside of my phone is hot. If any mobile developers wind up watching this video, I would love to hear how coding works for these and why games might become defunct over time. Until then, I'm going to cap off one of my longest videos I've ever made here. Can you guess what my longest video is?